Mahalo Lede and Talofa, everyone. Welcome to the Polynesian Eyes podcast in this live digital cover session. I'm Mashi Fade from Aotearoa, New Zealand in Manurewa. Nice and cold here on this neck of the woods. Um, been a busy week. It's been a while since we've done a live digital cover session, so I'm excited for tonight to be with all of our viewers and also with the co-host Tua Lau Fade. Tua, how's your week been? How's everything going?
It's a busy week, as you know, Mr. Atearoa, where we got all the bodies here to Las Vegas, but the rest of the belongings for the family hasn't arrived. So we have a pretty empty house. We're basically camping in the new house, the new headquarters for the Polynesianized podcast here in Las Vegas. But everything's going well. The weather's been great. I like the drier air. It's not as humid here in Las Vegas, so it's been good.
Oh, nice, nice. The entertainment capital of the world. What's kind of the big difference, Tua, just in the week that you've been there in Nevada, Las Vegas, compared to Texas in San Antonio, man?
Yeah, the biggest thing I think for my kids is driving down the strip, right? And just
Mm,
seeing all the bright lights. Last night, the night before, after dinner, we decided to go get some ice cream. And then we drove up the strip. We went by that famous Welcome to Las Vegas sign. We looked down the strip. And then the kids' favorite part was the what's called the sphere. I don't know if
man,
you're familiar with the sphere,
yeah,
Masi.
yeah.
It's
You see
a
it. You see it when
huge,
you come on the
yeah,
airplane when you're landing.
yes,
It's you can't miss it.
can't miss it. It's an awesome landmark. The kids were blown away. We drove right by it. They were having fish swimming. They had a bunch of different art on it, so it was pretty cool. So that's the biggest thing is just that fact of over 51 million people a year come to Las Vegas alone.
Shh,
So
shh.
that's pretty cool.
For all forms of entertainment, but we want to focus on the nice family-friendly entertainment, not the other stuff. The other stuff, we
Yeah.
can always stay away because that's the ones that get you in trouble. So stay away from those other ones. The family-friendly entertainment, we like what
It's
Las
endorsed.
Vegas
It's endorsed
provide.
by the
Yeah, is
Polynesian Eyes
endorsed.
podcast.
I know more viewers are trickling in and stuff. Welcome everyone. We are live, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, and on our best friend Elon Musk X platform. So we welcome everyone from all platforms that wherever you're viewing this live digital cover session. But yeah, Tua, what you got? What you got for us for
Yes.
tonight?
So we have a pretty jam-packed program for the viewers today. We're going to react to two social media posts that were posted on social media in response to some of our short videos that we've been putting on the different social media platforms.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with that. We're going to start with an interesting one. Believe it or not, Masi, Uffi. Who knew that Uffi would be such
Oh,
a popular topic
oh,
of discussion? So I think we were wondering how we're going to approach it. We're going to start by showing our original video that people are responding to. And so that's what we're going to start with. Look, hey, look, Masi. Some
oh,
of our best friends are here early today.
Haktua, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, who know? With this day of age, you just pop a bill and you can be in fantasy land and you can believe that the Tuitonga built Vegas city, so that can work. Or you can put it. What's those things they sell Tua? You put on
HDR,
those
those reality, virtual
Oculus.
reality,
Yes, virtual.
Oculus.
Yes, those virtual reality stuff. You can put that on and you can have a La La Land and whatever you want in that virtual reality. So that can happen too, help to us. So
Your name speaks for itself, my brother or sister. As to how seriously we can take you, but that's a funny comment. So
yeah.
let's start with that Uffi video.
And
And
Uffi, it's like that's the crop for the chiefs and kings, man, in Polynesia.
yes, and that's what we're gonna really start with. And let's get that response, or at least that initial reaction to the video. We'll watch that YouTube short and go from there.
Okay.
Manua like the Tui Tonga preferred Uffi.
Super loyal people to the Tu'imanua buried in those rock mounds. We went from super sacred burial mounds to
To Uffi pits.
Uffi pits.
That is funny.
And here's another thing, Masi. How common is Uffi, and what is the preference of Uffi among Samoans?
It's not a preference.
Yeah.
Most
So-
most Samoans think in their diet. Yeah.
Yeah. Preference of Uffi.
The tuitong. Yeah.
Tongan. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Tui Manua like
So I do want to give some context to the viewers because I think this is important. We were just talking about the Tu'imanua. This is a very important study that was done on Ta'u Island,
Mhm.
right? On what is expressed as the first Tu'imanua settlement. And we were discussing how oral history can, on its own, can be misleading, right? Because all the oral history said, hey, you see all those piles of rocks around the home of the Tu'imanua? That's the burial grounds of the loyal subjects of Tu'imanua. Then they go and dig and they found out it's Uffi pits,
Mm.
right? And then we were just having some fun and joking around. But then, the main point was Uffi. I've been to Samoa, American Samoa, and I've been to Samoa or Western Samoa. I went to all the markets. I never saw Uffi once. Not once. I saw a lot of banana and a lot of taro. I didn't even see a lot of manioke. It was primarily taro and banana were the top two things that I saw. And I was just making an observation. If this is Uffi pits and it doesn't seem to be a primary preference, well, what does that say about where the Tu'imanua could be from or tied to? Any kind of thoughts on that, Mr. Atearoa?
No. Just to add on to what you were mentioning. You've been to Samoa. I've lived in Samoa for 2 years. The Uffi that I ate in Samoa was very rarely, and it was the sort of Uffi. I don't know what the Tongan word is. Samoa would just say Uffi, but the ones that just grow in the bushes, tua, and they're very hard. So it's not the proper Uffis that we're used to eating, which takes a lot of cultivation, work, and takes a longer time
Mhm.
before you harvest. So that's the kind of Uffi they ate in Ha'amoa, and which is the only Uffi type that they only eat there in Ha'amoa is that hard one. When you put coconut milk and stuff, it's still very hard. But ate that maybe once or three times in the 2 years that I was there in Ha'amoa. And when they mentioned the Uffi pits in that study, that Uffi pit, who knows? Like we said, there has to be a strong correlation or connection to Tonga, because Tonga, even till now, Uffi is the top of the crop for
Yeah,
consumption, and it's not only the top, but for eating, but it's also a signal to your wealth and your rank, what you eat too. So
yeah.
yeah.
And in order to have an Uffi pit, it means you're producing Uffi at a large scale,
Mm,
right? That's the point of having an Uffi pit is to store things at a large scale. So obviously the Tu'imanua was farming Uffi at a large scale. And then, this was something new we learned from Xiaoxi Ilayu, and then I've seen it in other areas as well, that the Tu'itonga at certain times also took the Tu'imanua title at the same time,
yes.
right? And so that could be another driver behind. And the primary driver behind it is, according to some scholars, over 40 or 60%, whatever it is, it's a really large percentage of the Tu'imanua were women. And so when they would marry to the Tu'itonga, that's when that child, like Ka'ufonua Fekai is a prime example of that. That his mother was expressed to be a Tu'imanua Fefine. And so when he installs the Tu'iha Takalaua in Tonga, and he removes to go outside to allow the Tu'iha Takalaua to establish itself,
Yeah.
there is a lot of oral history, not necessarily strong oral history in Tonga, because we didn't discuss that a lot, but apparently a lot of that oral history in Ha'amoa is he took over the Tu'imanua title, which would also explain why future Tu'itongas had a reverence or a close respect or relationship to the Tu'imanua and wouldn't go and necessarily burden the Tu'imanua and their clan.
Yes, and that's probably the reason why it's maybe in oral history it hasn't been mentioned too many times, because the Tuitonga would always go with the higher rank of his title, Tuitonga, as him being known as that title, but he also, as a second, like a secondary title, had the Tuimanua, which he the people maybe during that time still recognized him as that, but over time, and that's probably the weakness with the oral history, that it tends to be hard to be maintained with that history. But with Xiaoxi Ilayu mentioning that that was the case, and that was the case during that time with I think you said Kalufonua Tua was able to have that um, title of the Tui Manua. That's why he was able to kind of have a close relationship with Tui Manua and never touch Tui Manua like he treated Upolu and Sabai chiefs and people, probably. And Tutuila. Looks like Manua was kind of the exception.
Yeah, no, 100%. And looks like our cousin Elon Musk. We're using Starlink tonight, so looks like we had a little bit of a hiccup there, but we'll power through it. And so,
Okay.
no, I mean, and that was really the gist behind that. And I also want to reiterate that was the concept and the discussion. Did we say that's the primary evidence of the Tu'itonga and the Tu'i? No, it was just a one-off discussion idea that came about. However, that was enough to catch the attention of certain content creators, and that's what we're going to go to next. We're going to watch a response video, I guess is what we'll want to call it, by another content creator. Has a great following online, which is a good thing. But I really want to read through the first part, just the content here, and it says Uffi and its place in Samoa share the video to that. What does that mean? I'm sure it's not a nice
Pepelo,
word.
Pepelo, like
No,
Loyaki.
yeah. So share the video to that line podcast can see it and hopefully respond. Well, hey, congratulations, the story of Bo. We are going to respond.
Yes. Yes.
But before we do so, I thought it was interesting to look at some of the comments, right? Like, this is our response. We've responded to a couple of these. We said, hey, Togo, we saw it. Well, we'll respond. We'll respond
Of
tonight.
course. So we do.
This is the
Conversation.
conversation.
That
100%.
talanoa, uli talanoa uso, uli talanoa mea.
Yes, and this is the live digital kava session. This is where ideas come to compete, right?
Yeah.
We love ideas. We love conversation. We invite them because that's how we find out what the good ideas are. Some of the interesting comments I want to go through, because I thought it was kind of interesting. I think it's in this thread right here. And this is the one that kind of surprised me. And this is from the creator himself of the story of Bo. He says, the podcast is based on the notion to discredit and demoralize Samoa. Very biased and unfounded claims that they have on the pod. What are your thoughts, Mazi? Is this our goal? Is this our goal, to demoralize and discredit? I thought that was interesting.
Well, that's not the aim and goal here. It's just to talk what oral history and archaeological evidence and data points, putting them all together and explaining that this is what we're seeing and just speak on it. That's kind of all what we're doing. And we're able to try to navigate, and not only that, take things out of um, take things that don't make sense and try to put in the correct, maybe correct, of what our opinions, what we think is the correct narrative of the Polynesian nation's history. Because we're not, like I think you know this too, but we're no one really knows the origin. And the reason why no one knows the origin, because there's so many smoke screens. you're like you're
Mhm.
like walking through the smoke, trying to figure out still what's our origin history. And now we just have the platform, we've put in the committed effort and time to try to do this podcast. That's where this Polynesian Eyes podcast was created from, is to provide this platform so that we can speak on these things, have this conversation, so we can understand the Polynesian nation and its origin history of the Polynesian people. So that's kind of the whole motive here. You know, I know, and here's the thing, Tua. Some people hold on to stories and narrative that they thought was true, right? And this is where it comes from.
Mhm.
It's true. And then when we present ideas that says that, oh, it's a bit faulty, your narrative or what you think was correct for many years or many times, then it can be a little personal and hurtful. But I can see it, maybe that's where he's kind of coming from. And that's, if he feels that way, no one can change it. But we're just here to have a conversation, a talanoa of our origins and history. And also just have a good time. It's a kava. What kind of kava session is always serious? That's what I'm saying. He must not been to many faikavas that everything is so serious. There's times to be serious and here and there, but most faikava session is really a relax, laughing, and you have some good conversation and some secret nuggets that kind of come out of it. So depending on what kind of kava circle you are involved with. But that's just me too. Unless you had anything
No,
to add, or
I agree. Some of my observations, I was kind of surprised by the description. The words demoralize and to discredit. Maybe the one that we could possibly apply is maybe discredit, but it's more challenging an idea.
mm,
To
mm,
me, when I hear the word demoralize, I'm like, that sounds like an overreaction. And it sounds to me that your idea hasn't been challenged enough, that you're sensitive to anybody pushing other ways, right? Like
mm,
if somebody comes and challenges your idea and you're not used to an idea being challenged, you take it in a very personal way, like you were saying. And I think that this is important. I'm glad he created this content because it gives us, we want more people to have conversations.
correct,
We want
correct. That's what we want.
ideas to come
Yeah.
out, right? And we want to talk through that. So this is awesome. We actually invited him to join us on the podcast. He responded that he is willing to join us. So I shared our email so we can coordinate a time for him to join us. But he said he will, but I've also seen other comments where he's like, well, if I join it probably won't make an impact because not enough people watch it anyway. So he's kind of throwing jabs at us, but I'm like, well, you thought it was important enough to make a response video, and now that you've done the response video, all of a sudden it's not worth talking up to us about it. So I mean, interesting, but
Keyboard. We call them the keyboard warriors, Tua. The keyboard warriors. That's the exact definition of keyboard warriors. I'll just type it and do it in my own little secret closet, and then I'll share
oh yeah.
it.
Well. So with that being said, let's see what our brother here has to educate us about Ufi and how it really goes against what you and I were expressing.
Okay. Oh, looks like we're having a little
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
difficulty.
Yeah, we're gonna have to call our cousin Elon. Elon, come on, come
Come
on.
on, Elon. I know you're pissed off. I know, Elon. I know.
Talo Falava, what's up, everyone? This video is a reply to one of the videos that was put out by Polynesian Ice, a Tongan podcast, which is a very biased take in the relationship between Samoa and Tonga. And in one of that videos, they claim that Uffi was never was not part of the Samoan diet or whatever. But in this video, I will give you guys a reason why Uffi was very much part of not only our diet, but it was highly valued in our culture. So the first point I would like to give you guys is in Samoa there is a royal lineage that is known as the Ngafa or the Uffi. Ngafa is means lineage or the lineage of the Uffi. This was the lineage that eventually gave birth to the current Malietoa line. So here is as the Uffi is taken as a metaphor in relation to this royal lineage. The second point is in Samoa, there's two types of Uffi that exist in Samoa ever since the beginning of time. The first Uffi is Balai Maui or Uffi Samoa, true Samoan Uffi. The second Uffi is called Uffi New Guinea or Uffi that came from the island of New Guinea. There's no Uffi Palau, no Uffi Niue, no Uffi Tonga, or anything like that. Like the Taro, we have Kalo Niue, Kalo Palau, and so forth. No, in Samoa, there's only two Uffis that exist. It's the real Samoan Uffi and the Uffi from the New Guinea island. So thirdly, the story of Billy and his sister Sina, the one that married the Tuifiti. From that story, we get the phrase that is commonly used by orators of Samoa, the saying that goes like this, "Ua tolo tolo matangau leufi asina." In that story, Billy gave his sister Sina the gift of the Uffi in order for her to survive the wrath of the Tuifiti, because at that time, the islands of Fiji was going through a massive famine. So during that famine, mind you, the Tuifiti was married to two women. One was Sina from Samoa and the other one was a Fijian woman. And his ultimatum was whichever wife that helps feed not only him, but his people is the one that he will save. The other one he will kill or he will eliminate. So therefore, um, Billy came to Fiji and gifted his sister the Uffi, which later on helped save her life. And don't get me started on the different delicacies or the different foods that we use or we create using the Uffi in Samoa. So the notion or the very biased one-sided take that was done by Polynesian Ice, it's basically rubbish. So there we go.
Shoot, shoot.
Marie,
Malo, malo, yo.
Marie, Marie. Masi, what are your thoughts to our brother?
I learned the I guess the oral history about the Ngafa Ufi. Kind of how it came to be. I have never heard of the Ngafa Ufi when I was in Samoa, and and I was just trying to say, I was just thinking, like he's saying how it's important, but like I'm telling you, the most common is Kalo, and then Kaamu is like Kape, tua, the big
Mm.
giant size, and bananas. Ufi is more is like I said, it's either, and I think with the one that I've been eating, what he said, it's probably the Ufi Samoa that I've eaten, which is very very hard. Ufi. So s- so to me, like I said, I don't know, and he can, maybe it's from exactly where he grew up. Maybe they have Ufi a lot more, but I'm just saying, I've been to the villages of Satupaitea in Savai. Never had Ufi there. I've been to the villages of Fushi and Tapole Ele in Savai. I had Ufi maybe once over there. Then I went to Tutuila in Farenio. It was all taro there. And I did meet with some Tongans, but the only Ufis I had in American Samoa were with the Tongan community in Tutuila in American Samoa. Then I also went to Upolu in Vaivase, and Whangalii in Upolu. Had Uffi once over there, but that was Uffi Samo, which was very hard. And Lauli'i in Upolu, and never had Uffi over there. So, like I said, those are the places just for this gentleman here that's uh, definitely, I know he's probably from Samoa, and I'm explaining kind of my experience in being in those villages. That Uffi was not a common thing. So it's good that they still have a history, and just with understanding the close connected to Tonga. But like I said, with the whole colonization that happened and the less traveling back and forth, Uffi became more of uh, uh, not in the top three diets of Samoa, and I'll still maintain that because 2 years and I maybe had it 3 times, and the rest was kalo and kaamu and fa'i, three main ones. Then I had Ufi. So that's where I was coming from, Tua,
Mm.
and that's why I just kind of mentioned those villages. Unless he's from those villages, and then we can speak more intimately from those areas. But if he's not from those villages I mentioned, then maybe it's a only village thing from his village with those stories. But that's just my take on that, Tua.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of interesting. There's two things that kind of first jump off the page for me personally. He doesn't address the point of the video. We never said Ha'amoa doesn't eat ufi. And this is where I find it interesting in some of the people who react to our content. You're not even answering what the video is talking about, right? We were saying you even said in that video, yeah, I've had Ufi there, but it's not the preferred. That was the exact words that we were using. And we're talking about preference. We're not
Mm,
talking about zero or full access. And so he took the point that, oh, if I can just prove that there's Ufi, that discredited the idea. It's like, no, we already conceded that Ufi does exist, right? But you also cannot say that Ufi is so sacred and important and that it's played such a big role in our history. And then I go to your market and I don't see Ufi. When I went to American Samoa and I went to Western
Upolu.
Samoa, right? Never did I see Ufi once. Not in the downtown markets, not even people selling it on the side. You go to Tonga, you will find Ufi everywhere. And actually, I think I saw a post, I want to say 3 months ago, people were complaining that one Ufi that was like maybe 4 or 5 feet was like $400
Mm,
paanga, right? Like you can't when we say Ufi is king in Tonga, we literally mean Ufi is king. And we were messaging some of our references, and we even did a little search online. There's at least a minimum, from what I found, 14 documented types of Ufi studied from Tonga. 14 types, right? Or at least variations. We've asked certain people, we've asked Maui Tegelangi. He says there's way more than 14 because
wow.
in between each of the 14 that were identified, there are variations within each of those 14 groups. And so to me, it's once again, it comes back to the preference. It's not even close. Like it's not close. It's not like, oh yeah, don't let me get started on the delicacies. Well, what the heck are those delicacies? I was in Samoa for 3 weeks,
Mm,
4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. I went
mm.
to hotels. I went to local barbecue spots. I went to everything. As you can look at my size, I like to eat. I ate a lot. Never did I, not only did I not eat Ufi, I never saw Ufi with my 2 eyes.
Mm, mm.
And so to me, I think that you know, you say we're here to demoralize. It's like, no, we're here to challenge ideas. And you can't come here and number one, not and say, oh yeah, we're here to try and demoralize people, or we're so biased. Everyone has bias. But at the same time, I have done my DNA. I didn't have to do the DNA. I have a lot of Samoan blood in me.
Mhm.
I have some Fijian blood. I've been to Ha'amoa, both of them. And so
You're the
it's not like I'm
Polynesian
just,
makeup. We're the Polynesian makeup
yeah,
DNA, pretty much.
yeah, the
You know.
Polynesian mutt, if you want to call it, whatever it is. So I mean, it to me, it's interesting, and we this is why we need to have more discussions because we need to let the weak ideas die
Yeah.
and let the stronger ideas rise to the top. And we appreciate this Toko's reading his response,
Hmm.
and try again. I guess is my response. Hey, great. Hey, appreciate the response, the feedback. But
Yeah.
to me, you can actually, and all of our haters are going to say, oh, everything comes from Tonga, like our buddy here. Uh, uh, you know, increase fleas, even though I think he changes his name tag all the time. But one could make the argument that when they refer to the Uffi lineage, once again, where does the Uffi come from? Where is the Uffi? Uffi is royalty in Tonga. That's the way it's across the board. That's what the royalty eat. So when he says, oh, what is it called? The ngafa, le
Ngafa.
Uffi, or
Ngafa is kind of like the tufa holo.
yes.
eh, eh.
And then one could make the argument, is that a reference to Tonga? I don't know, because Uffi is king in Tonga,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, one could make that argument. And then, he had shared the story, once again, pure oral history about the story of Piri and his sister and in Fiji. Remember, Masi, we did a podcast on the study that was done on oral histories in Ha'amoa.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and
That's a
they
funny one.
seem to, yeah, they came to a conclusion that a lot of Ha'amoa's quote unquote oral history on Fiji was like really disconnected and not related to reality. It was always mythical and mystical.
And was it always received from the third party from a Tongan that was traveling to Ha'amoa? Right.
That's
That
what
was the
they,
other
that's
thing.
what they, yes, when they did the analysis, they came to the conclusion that the majority of what Ha'amoa understood about Fiji was through Tongan contact. So once again, the story about Pili and the Fiji Tu'ifiti, which if we think that the Tu'imanua is weak, the Tu'ifiti is like even
Oh yeah, way.
further
You're
away.
reaching. You're reaching.
Yeah.
You're definitely reaching on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. At least with the Tu'imanua, we know a location, we know some level of structure. It's been recognized by a handful of people. Oh, okay. The
Yeah.
Tu'ifiti is like outer space, man. It's very difficult to get some reality attached to the Tuifiti. So if that's all I know is all those claims, could they be true? Yes. But so far, I think they're relatively weak claims, and I can't give it a lot of seriousness. Hopefully, the story of Bo joined us. Maybe
Mm.
there's something we're missing. Maybe there's more to be discussed. But I would also recommend him. You know that episode that we did, story of Bo or whatever. Go
Yeah.
watch that whole episode because the Uffi was the least of the concerns of what
Correct.
that episode showed, which is if you're only going to come and quote oral history, we recognize oral history, it can add value,
Yeah.
but oral history alone can be very, very misleading. Prime example, the Uffi pit. The oral history was, if we just followed the oral history, the Tu'imanua had this, entourage of loyalty that wanted to lay with him and die buried
And
next to him.
Perry.
Then we find out Uffi pits. That's why we're talking about Uffi right now.
Mm. I'll just speak on some of the experience too. Also, from what I remember too, with just my experience experiencing like like the more funerals and stuff. Love the funerals and stuff they bring. Of course they'll bring pig, cows, cut up cows and stuff, and love the other stuff they'll bring like the especially the starch kind of crop. I never really saw ufi being presented. It was always like kaamu, which is kape, right?
Mm.
And talo or kalo. So like that's just another type of evidence. And I was there in those villages I mentioned earlier. That's what I saw. I didn't see ufi. So and that's why I'm interested to to maybe if he, if he does say this and he does his reaction, where specifically he's coming from, and maybe it could be his own village style of the way they do things. And but from those villages that I was at, that's what I saw, and that's what I hardly ate was ufi in Haamoa. And then just to speak on that other thing, when the Maria Toa, the first one, passed away, and the king of Tonga and his representatives came to present their gifts to Maria Toa for the funeral. You know what they brought? They brought ufi, Tongan
Hmm.
ufi kaho kaho, which is the top. And remember, we talked about, we only mentioned 14, but there's many types of ufi in Tonga you can grow. But ufi kaho kaho is the top, and that's what the king of Tonga presented to the funeral, along with other gifts to Maria Toa during his funeral ceremony and
Yeah,
stuff. So see, that's what I'm trying to say to her. Like, I know he mentioned all these oral stories, but like, it could have been from back then, but it's not lasting till now because I'm not seeing it being practiced from what I saw. And when
yeah,
the Maria Toa passed away and the Tu'io came, right? The current king and his family that came to the Maria Toa's first when he passed away, Tanuma Fili came with Ufi and presented because Ufi is the high crop of the kingdom of Tonga. I mean, maybe all of Polynesia, but it's been kind of
yeah.
lost during this whole time.
Well, and here's the interesting thing is let's take that practical, real story, documented story, and tie it to the Pili story. As far as we see today, the only person or the only culture taking around and giving ufi to others is Tonga.
Mm,
So who knows? I mean, it's we're just trying to understand what is going on here, but to me, it's very difficult to kind of just rely on oral history alone. It's really just not enough. And Ufi, Ufi is not like talo. We've planted talo growing up. We've planted banana growing up. Ufi is a science, right?
mm,
Ufi is a it's a very labor intensive and it's a very knowledge based crop, right? Like some of these Ufis get to 6 feet, 150 pounds. How do you
yeah.
do that? Right? It
Mm,
takes a year. It takes a year to grow. Some of these
yeah.
Ufis take a year to grow. So imagine, just imagine that a year to grow an Ufi. This is a very knowledge-based, science-based crop. You cannot just stick it in the ground and all of a sudden you get a high quality Ufi. Talo and banana, not a very sophisticated crop. You don't even have to weed them. You can kind of stick them amongst bushes, and they're very. That's the positive of them, right? Is they're very they're able to survive without too much effort, which is
Mm,
why they're good. They're good for survival. But when we look at beyond survival and thriving and adding science to it, Ufi is on a different level. And not every person in Tonga knows how to grow Ufi. And the guys who know how to grow Ufi, they do very well for themselves. Like we're talked about, like
imagine.
a handful of
Yeah.
Ufi, $400 for Ufi. You're not going to go spend $400 on bananas. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because this is a labor intensive, a knowledge based crop, yeah, people are going to spend a ton of money on it.
Yeah. Well, and just to add, just to like how important Ufi is. Not only that it's hard to grow. I remember, I don't know about you, but I remember getting some good whips and some scoldings, even when you have a little scratch on the Ufi. After the whole
Yeah,
year you harvest, you can't just talo and banana. You can throw them around, like throw them in the back of the truck,
they're
and
delicate.
yeah, they're fine. Ufi, after this whole year, you can't even have a scratch or even a bruise because that will ruin the whole crop. Like this is treated, treated with utmost um, gentle careness with these Ufis. So, like I said, and what does that symbolize? It's almost simple as like royalty. Royalties act in a way of, you know, very high status. You care. It's like there's a lot of symbolism.
Demanding, yeah,
Yes, demanding
demanding.
your time, care, financial resources, and if you don't do it right, you lose all of it just because you grabbed it in the wrong. Like you don't grab Ufi from the top. You always grab it from the middle because the top you can always crack break it,
Weak.
weak break it, and that will ruin the whole Ufi. So, I mean, there's a lot of science. We're not, we speak it because we were farmers before we work in the Western world of getting money and stuff. But that's kind of the lessons we know with the the importance of cultivating ufi compared to talo, kape, or kamu, or fa'i and shaine. But yeah, Dua, that's just my spill on that. Oh, looks like we've kind of lost Tua. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I
Okay.
think I think it's the cycle of the satellites. It seems like there's a pattern here of the
Okay.
satellites in between. Um, so I mean, no, and that's the thing. Mushy is like we're talking about, and this is the thing. I see some of the comments on the story of Bo's reaction, and they're like, "Man, you showed them, appreciate you." And I'm like, dude, he didn't even answer what we were talking about. Like, you can't say you're gonna respond and then not answer the main point, which was, no, we know that there was Ufi and Ha'amoa, but our point is it's not the preference. It's
Mm,
not what the culture is not built around Ufi. So
mm,
why in the world is the Tu'i Manua the biggest thing he has around him that everybody in Ha'amoa thought was the most loyal people buried there was actually Ufi pits? Why is the Tu'i Manua having so many Ufi pits?
mm,
Okay,
mm.
maybe it has nothing to do with Tonga and the Ufi, but it's a question. What I
Yeah.
do know is your oral history said it was people buried there. So I can't rely on your oral history. So I have to rely on something else. And what am I relying on? What I've seen growing up on what it takes to grow Ufi, the variety of Ufi, which culture or which group of people Ufi was important to. Well, that's where I'm going to kind of lean to. And
Mm.
then it's going to be called, well, you're just being biased. You're trying to demoralize. Like, no, I'm not. I'm just trying to point out the obvious.
Yep. Yep. It's just a conversation, and if you can't have a conversation, we can't find truth in anything. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. So hey, alofa aku uso, yeah, si kaimi sa we kako karakango. Just invite the bro if he does have some time. Just come and talk. But if you think this is beneath you, hey, no worries, man. You can move on with your life. We can move on
Yeah.
with our life.
We'll
The
stay in
Polynesian Eyes.
our humble in the ground Fakamuna called the Polynesian Eyes podcast.
Yes, yes, yes.
Nothing wrong. I even mentioned in the comment there, there's like, yeah, we want to see him so he can show you all your wrong ways. And I was like, hey, I'm willing to eat humble pie. I'm okay with
Mm,
it,
yeah,
but you have to show me. You have to
yeah.
show me I'm wrong, and you have to kind of really at least show something. And even
Mm,
at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with convincing me or you, Masi. It is, let's just put it out there. Let's just talk about it. Let the people hear about it and they can make their own decisions on what they believe. We're not
yeah.
interested in convincing people. What we're interested in is bring your idea to the live digital Kava session. If your
Yes,
idea
sir.
has a good right hand, well, can it survive the left hook of another idea? And then we watch it and we learn and
Yeah,
we discuss it and see where it goes from there. But like you said, Masi, hopefully he'll join us. We'll love to join. Let's put it this way: if you don't want to talk about Ufi, Mr. Bo, we won't even talk about Ufi. Just
yes,
come,
correct.
tell us the stories that you hear where you are. What you've seen, and we can discuss that. But the important thing is we have discussions.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one, and sorry guys, with our cousin Elon Musk and a lot of the technical difficulties, we're not gonna touch into. I'll see a lot of comments going on YouTube, especially. We're gonna try and stay on track because I feel like every 15, 20 minutes, as the satellites do their rotation, I think we lose
Okay.
signal. a little bit. So we're going to stay on track. The next one is another social media response, and this
Hey,
is
we've been
from
getting a lot of
our
reactions. We've been getting a lot of reactions
yes,
to our sheesh.
yes,
I thought people didn't care about hearing what the live digital Gava session people had to talk about.
yeah. Sometimes people said something's too low for them, but only when it's in the public. Yeah, when it's in public, it's too low for them. But when they go in the dark and hide, then they crawl down. They crawl down to the lowly Polynesian ice podcast.
Mariela.
Eh, they're the ones that pamahuahu, when you see them in the daytime in front of everyone, you try to say hi to them, they put their head up and walk away. But when the sun goes down and all the devils come out, then they're like, "Oh, hi, Polynesian Ice Podcast, how you doing?"
Too funny, too funny. Hey, we
Oh,
love everyone. We love everyone. We're grateful for the conversation because that's what the whole goal is, to have more conversation and let us discover more of our Polynesian history. So, malo to our Samoan brother there.
yes. So what I'm going to do, Masi, is I'm going to try and find. This is on the Offside podcast. We're actually a fan of these guys. We think they do good work. We appreciate a lot of their feedback and their thoughts and their perspectives. We don't always agree with them, but we appreciate anyone who puts time and energy. So we're fans of theirs. Kind of give Masi, you're familiar with them. I think this is Eliota is his name.
Yeah, the former Manu Samoa rugby player. He's kind of like the main character on the show, on their
Yeah,
podcast.
and he's done a lot of cool things, right? Like he's really been he's kind of like the redheaded stepchild, I guess, for Manu Samoa. Even though he's done a lot, it sounds like not
Yeah,
just as a
he's the,
player, but
yeah.
representing them, trying to help grow rugby in Samoa and even in New Zealand. So he's someone who's contributed a lot. Unfortunately, when you're trying to be an agent of change, the current people in power don't always like that, and
Mm,
so it seems like there's a little tension. But I mean, the guys tried to do a lot of good things from the little bit I know. Masi,
yeah.
anything to add to kind of that background?
No, I agree. I agree with you, Tua, what you've kind of explained about his background. I think the first time I came across him was when he was suspended by the rugby union board, international board or World Rugby Board, because
Hmm.
he didn't like the treatment of Polynesian players, especially with making it difficult for eligibility from players that weren't selected on the bigger international teams, Australia, New Zealand, England, and the whole stand down. So he was all for that, and I'm a big fan of him for pushing that, because I 100% agree, and that's what's killing rugby union as a whole, the lack of player movement to allow the competition to be at its peak, because you're not getting all the best rugby players in the
Make a
international
better
game.
product.
Yes. So and I that's I agree with Eliota on those issues, and also he tends to be against big government. I'm along those lines of going against big government, and also, I agree with him on some of our stuff that Polynesian people can definitely think we can do bigger and better things. Always do more than just your simple task, because he's kind of us trying to push us to do more. Some of the things I do find I don't agree with. It's a bit sometimes it's a little bit out of reality regarding always blaming others. That's the thing I don't. It's almost a little
Hmm.
victimhood. Victimhood gets you nowhere, especially as an athlete. If he was an athlete, we have families that were athlete, hang around with other athletes. Being the victimhood
Doesn't
is
get you. No one cares.
doesn't get you
When you're in
anywhere.
the game, when you're in the
Yeah,
game and you get smashed, you get overpowered because that guy had more money, more access to nutrition and weights. No one cares. All they care
no
is who
one
won.
no one cares. And for us to play in the big in the big games and to get to the better outcomes for our people, there's accountability within yourself and your decisions you make, and always talking about the past history and still focusing on all those hardships and that, let's just say, all that trauma. It's like you're trying to relive all that trauma from the past,
Can't let it
and
go.
trying to bring it to the current people now, and saying that we're still being oppressed. But last time I checked, I can get a job what I want. If I can't get a job I want, you can always get further certificates and education to increase your likelihood to get that job, and you just keep trying. Our opportunities are endless in these days, so just that's the only thing, I probably the sticking point that I don't agree with some of his explanation is more of the blaming game instead of focusing what we need to do as a Polynesian people to hold us accountable for our actions and choices we do to be better for the future. Because I'm always focused on the now. It's good to talk about the history so it doesn't repeat itself. So when things like that come, especially with the palangis or things that's come again, then we recognize that we can better attack it. I'm all for that. We can always go and unite under that, but to always blame on everything for our reason not being uh, moving forward, Polynesian community forward, because we're always blaming somebody else for our problems. Yeah, that to me that's not right, and it's unrealistic, and it's a little bit. It almost like makes you untouchable that you can do anything. It's never your fault, which is which is not right. But that's just me.
No,
That's just my feedback regarding that.
that's the danger of the victim mentality, is no one can be held accountable, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
trust me, I don't like being held accountable, but I also recognize that the only way to move forward is to have accountability, even though sometimes we don't like it, but that's the reality. And coming back to what you said, if you were in a game and the guy across from you is a guy that bullied you and mistreated you and took opportunities away from you, the referee doesn't care. The referee only cares about, are you going to tackle him or are you not going to tackle him? Are you going to beat him or are you not going to beat him? And so that's why you got to get away from the victim mentality. But
and it robs you of your time. If you keep
yes,
dwelling and keep bringing up those things that are still saying that it is holding us back, then you rob our people of the time when we could be using it for better things, maybe for getting a job. Also, maybe instead of being single to your late 50s, maybe you should get try to work hard to get married. Like all these little things we can do better in our society, to maybe take better care of our children, and maybe better support. Like all these things can withhold our progression as a Polynesian community in the 2025 era, instead of always focusing on stuff that happened. We have no control what happened in the past. What we do have control is recognize and learn from the past and just prepare for the future. Kind of like what I mentioned, but yeah, that's just
yeah.
my kind of take on that.
No, and really, I mean, at the end of the day, the reality is this: we're not saying that those bad things didn't happen. Because I can tell you
Yes.
right now, we're gonna get some people like, oh, what do you just pretend like that? No, we're not
Yeah.
saying it didn't happen. But the reality is, in order to move forward, you can't dwell on that. Like you were saying, we know it happened. We know racism exists.
Yeah.
But is that the real reason why you're struggling? I don't know. I don't think so. Right? And so you have to be able to, we recognize those disadvantages, we recognize those things, but at the end of the day, you have two hands, 2 feet, and a brain. Do the best that you can. Do the best that you can with what you got. And a lot of times, what you're doing today may have little to no impact about you. It may be about your children, your grandchildren.
Mm,
I can see this in my life. A lot of the blessings I have today and opportunities I have today has very little to with what I did. It has more to do with what my parents, my grandparents, and my great
mm,
grandparents did. Let's put it this way, to wrap it closer, Masi, this is the Uffi mentality. The
mm.
Uffi mentality is, Well, we're not going to harvest in 1 month. We're not going to harvest in 2 months. We're not going to harvest in whatever. 12 months. 12
Mm,
months. Now, you can harvest at 8 months, but you can't complain. How come my Uffi is not full size? Well, because
mm,
it takes 12 months. You can
mm,
harvest earlier, but you can't complain that, oh, my Uffi is not 6 feet tall. Well, did you plant at the right month? Did you get the right polo polo or the right seed? Did you go out and did you huo every day? Did you do everything you could to maximize the opportunity for your Uffi? That's where you need to focus. You don't
mm.
need to focus on, oh, the Uffi I planted, it was abused or it was, didn't eat enough, whatever before. It's like, no, no, no. You got what you got. We just got to move forward and do the best. So, we really liked it. What is the plus 64? Is that their studio or what's the because it's the offside podcast, but it's like a plus 64 platform? Do you know anything about that, Masi?
No, I'm not familiar with that. It could be maybe along with his or fellow co-hosts. Maybe that's more of them kind of mentioning that, but I'm not too sure with that one.
Okay, all right. So to kind of set the here, they were responding to a video on the Offside podcast. Let's watch that video. It was actually created by someone else on TikTok. So we'll watch that video. We'll up from.
Oh, looks like we have a little hiccup. Satellite is being covered. Oh, there we go, Dua. I think we got
There
you
we
now.
go. Yes. So we'll jump into that first video on TikTok that they were doing a little bit of response. They didn't play the whole thing, and then we'll give more context to what that video was trying to talk about,
Okay.
and then we will go from there. So let me pull up that video here real quick, and let me know when you can see it. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
The Maoris are one of the few cultures that we have witnesses or accounts of the early Maoris having prophecies of Christianity coming. Basically saying there's a new religion coming, and that's the religion we need to embrace. So it was quite shocking to me when you hear people like this who say, you're not a real Maori, you've been colonized because she's Christian. Basically, what they're saying is because Christianity was introduced from Westerners, then therefore you've been colonized. So the basic idea is this: anything from the West is bad. Education's bad, cell phone bad,
Don't wear
TV
any
bad.
clothes. Don't wear any
Yes.
clothes.
Don't do any of those things. You better be living off the land. The problem is there aren't any more real Maoris. And if there is, they ain't part of the discussion. When you speak the English language, you're already colonized.
Right.
Where do you draw the line, right? Like,
Where-
that's the
There's
problem
no.
with the thinking.
Yes.
They're speaking from a brainwashed, colonized
Mm.
point of view because they don't understand where they come from. And that's why when Maoris get offended and say that they're not Pacific Islanders, I was like, last time I checked, Aotearoa is an island in the Pacific, my friends. And if you look where your ancestry came from, you came from the other Polynesian islands, my friend. The fact that you're offended when you say you're a Pacific Islander and you don't understand where you come from, that in itself is telling you something about that point of view. This point of view that says if you're Christian, then you're not Maori, that's like, these are people who don't understand where they come from. Like, they're really colonized in the mind.
Any initial thoughts, Mr. Ateoro?
Uh no. I mean that cut up. That cut up was. I think. Was a little bit not accurate, but with the whole making us saying us something and then the whole laughing and stuff. It makes it feel like we were like degrading or mocking or anything, but we're just it's the we talked about it. It's the short videos and people can cut up however they want, and it's the name of the game in this digital age stuff. But I didn't. I mean, I guess a lot of people find that offensive, but I didn't find that offensive. We're just having a conversation. We are relatives of the Maori. We're just speaking of what we see of a reaction from another fellow um, Maori lady that was being attacked by her Christian belief, and we're just, just speaking from our opinion as let's just say relatives of the Polynesian nation. But
Mhm.
that's just me, Tua. Unless you had anything else.
No, I thought it was interesting. First off, that it's because of our accent, right? That obviously we have an American influence with our accent. Um, they put on there that U.S. Polynesians or Northern Hemisphere or U.S. Polynesians telling about Maoris who neglect Christianity. So first things first, I think we need to set the record a little bit straight. Yes, we are Americans. We're proud to be Americans, but we grew up in Tonga, right? We grew up in Tonga. We also spent many years of our lives in Hawaii. And yes, I live in the mainland. Mr. Aotearoa happens. How long have you been in New Zealand, Mr. Aotearoa?
7 years, Tua. 7 years.
7 years.
I feel like I'm a local already here in Aotearoa. I know the streets and the shortcuts here in South Auckland. I'm still learning
Yeah.
about the North Auckland, the North Shore side, and the east side of Auckland and west side. Little bit, like they say in Hawaii, small kind can
Small kind.
get around. But
Yeah.
South Auckland, I'm local already. Do I know all the shortcuts and stuff off
Yeah.
road?
You already look like Auckland Grammar and what is
Yeah.
it, Wesley Boys College or whatever.
Wesley Boys. I think the closest school over here is the Alfreston College. That's kind of like my local
Galveston
school over
local
college.
school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it can be misleading. I mean, I can understand why they made that assumption, right?
I
But
do. I know why
fair.
too. They probably because remember, probably a lot of people who speak on Polynesian history are from people from this side of the world. Because I think we mentioned it too. A lot of the PhD studies of
Mm,
Polynesian history, let's just say they call it what Pacific studies, is from
Pacific
this side
studies.
of the yes, is from this side of the world. And when they speak English, it's a British, New Zealand, Australian accent, and that's what they're used to hearing in their ears. But they don't know there's people in the good old USA that just know just as much or more, and I think they're just surprised. But that's
Yes.
all to us.
Yeah, so that's what stuck out to me. And then the other thing that stuck out to me is not only that, yes, we recognize we're in America and we have an American influence, but we're kind of rooted all over the world,
Mm,
especially in Polynesia. I've been to Fiji, I've been to New Zealand multiple
yeah.
times. I've been to
You even
Samoa,
been
I've been to
here
grew up
multiple
in Tonga.
times.
Yes, went to high school in Hawaii. Mr. Aotearoa, you live in New Zealand. You've been all over. You've been to
Yeah,
more Pacific nations than I have, right? Where have you
yeah.
been?
I've lived in New Zealand. When I say live, you got to live there more than about 2 years. And I lived in Ha'amoa, both independent Ha'amoa and American Ha'amoa. Been lived in both of those places. Lived in Hawaii. I visited Tahiti. Visited Fiji. Lived in Tonga. Like I mean, it's just funny when we get the comments. Maybe they're just not used to it, like I said to it. But I mean, we just don't speak from zero experience and living around the Polynesian nation. So
Yes.
it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of the comments in there was, us being disrespectful in that video, right?
Mm.
That we're attacking Maoris. I want to play the whole reason why what that video was about.
Oh, nice. That'll be
So
good.
that
That'll be good
people,
for
yeah, so that
context.
people, yeah, so people have the context. We live, I understand we live in clickbait world. The
Yes, sir.
Polynesian
Yep.
Eyes podcast participates in the short videos because it gives you good exposure. We understand people don't always have the time
Yeah.
or the focus for long forum, but we want to get more exposure. So we do the short videos. But we want to give people the context of what we were actually trying to talk about in that video, so that there's more context, and then we can weave that in there before we go to our brother Eliota and the offside um, podcast here.
All right, let's do it.
So
Our sister here from the Aotearoa and what she has to say. And I'm clicking on the wrong screen. Sorry. We need to
No
go.
worries.
I don't believe in God because of anything anyone's told me. I believe in God because I had a personal encounter with him. Anyone who believes that Māori have been brainwashed into believing in God doesn't actually trust that Māori are powerful and we carry mana. We understand what we're doing when we choose to follow Christ. You are welcome to disagree and you are welcome to your beliefs. I don't.
Very.
So, want to remind everyone that the whole segment we were doing was defending this Maori sister from other Maoris and others who were attacking her and saying, "You're not a real Maori because you believe in Jesus, that you're not a real Maori because you've been colonized in the mind with the white man's religion," right? That was the whole point of that episode or that section. Now you see when it's cut up, it's almost like, oh, we're talking down about it. No, we were kind of trying to prove the point. How can you say she's not Maori and say that she's colonized in the mind? Like that one comment that says, "Well, if you're speaking English, are you colonized?"
And that was a comment from one of our viewers. Correct.
That was a comment from one of the viewers, right?
Yeah.
And so you have these people who are going to respond to that and say, "Oh, you guys are putting down Maoris." It's like, no, actually, believe it or not, we were defending a Maori woman and her beliefs and letting her know there's nothing wrong with believing in Jesus, and that doesn't somehow disqualify you from being a Maori. So this goes to show you can go and defend someone and their culture and their right to believe, and then the video gets cut up and it gets sent out. Oh, you're attacking Maoris and putting Maoris down, when that was the complete opposite of what that segment was talking about.
Yeah. No, 100%. You know, it is kind of what the, let's just say, the this day and of age is about. It's all about short clips. But you know, for those who really did kind of understand our point of view, probably went back and watched the episode in in its entirety to get the proper context. But we were just speaking as, as Polynesians who believe in the Christian faith, just speaking on behalf of this Maori Polynesian woman, pretty much, and just speaking that it doesn't, when you believe in in a Christian faith, doesn't make you colonized. I mean, it's crazy, and that's the thing. If we don't have these conversations, Tua, right? What happens? Everyone thinks that you've been colonized. Like, obviously, Tua, we've kind of hit a nerve if this was a big deal, because this is the people more people who interact in this ideology, thinking that everything, because, and that's the thing, it's the lack of understanding of Christianity. Christianity didn't come from Europe. It actually came from the Middle East, Israel area. I mean, like, that's where it came from. Just because they brought it to the islands by Palangis doesn't make you that you're whitewashed or you've been colonized by the Palangis. It's just an idea that was brought up, and it's actually helped many nations do better. So it was just a lot of focus on the negatives, and I think I do understand with the whole Christian ideology that was used to colonize other islands, and that did happen in many of the societies. But we're speaking from our personal experience in the kingdom of Tonga, that didn't happen. So because that didn't happen, you can't apply it to Tonga, which did not happen. So that's all.
Yeah, and as you were mentioning, Africa had Christianity through Ethiopia before it even went to Europe,
That's the lack
right?
of understanding. Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is the thing that I think a lot of people are struggling with. And we discussed this on a previous video where we were reacting to the offside. Remember, they were talking about Tonga, that Christianity was forced upon Tonga, and they
Ye-
were discussing that. And we were, and even in this video, that episode, sorry, the latter part of that video, we were talking about, this idea of decolonization. That is a colonized perspective, right? If you go and you pay attention to who are all the people pushing and originating decolonization, you will find that they are primarily originated and driven by Western professors. And then
mm,
those Western professors educated some Polynesians. And now it looks like it's the Polynesians that are pushing that narrative, but they learned it from the
the
Western.
Palangi, the
So,
Palangi atheist believers.
yes. And here's the thing, and this is why we have to be very careful about this idea of decolonization. This is the equivalent of you get colonized, and then in order to free yourself, you go back to the person who colonized you to get the ideas to free yourself. No, that all you've done is return to the source of colonization to get more colonization. So you have to disengage from that. And this is one of the reasons why the Polynesian Eyes podcast exists. Leverage the benefits of the West, right? The West brings science, it brings.
Oh, I think the satellite orbit is losing a little bit connection from Elon Musk. Hopefully, Elon Musk can get our brother here, Tua. Okay, you're back, Tua.
All right. So we have to take the good that the West brings and also bring the good from our ancestors and put those together, right?
Yes.
That's how we need to. But that's something that's really important. That's a big part of this podcast. This is why even when people disagree with us, we encourage it because it's about having conversation. If
Mm,
you go somewhere and people are just always agreeing with you and always on the same page, something is wrong because human
yeah.
beings, we think different, we act different. Um, and so we shouldn't be such thin-skinned people that if someone has a different idea, then that means we can't work things out. Like a prime example is Tonga. Tonga. Not all the Tongans agreed on how Tonga should be saved, right? The founding fathers of America, they all didn't agree on how that would be saved. Look at now, Elon Musk and Donald Trump have different ideas on how things should be done. How you navigate those things? You have conversations. This is why I'm a big believer that the kava, the kava sessions and the kava type of approach of bringing ideas together, discussing those ideas. That's why we believe in the live digital kava session. Is that's how you bring the ideas and have them compete. And the good ideas tend to survive, and the bad ideas tend to die as
Mm.
more people talk about it and think about it. Um,
I
but
just
we
want to add
really
something
need.
to
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
yeah,
Mas.
no, I was gonna add also, with the whole this negative picture for the Christian faith, and it comes from I don't know, it's like this thing, like if you had like a pastor or somebody of leadership with a church that did you wrong, or your family wrong, or the congregation did you wrong, that they paint that like that's we all under if you're a Christian and somebody did you wrong within your own faith, that's you most people would give it up, but you're not a Christian because of what other flaws of men did to you. You were a Christian because you're a follower of God and Christ. That's your connection. What the flaws of men do to you and hurt you and your family, the only thing you can do is forgive them what they've done, learn from that lesson, and you move on, because your faith is directly to God and Christ. That should be your main focus. But like there's this thing of like understanding like the Christian is all bad because all these people have done you wrong, or the priest from a certain faith did you wrong, or did this one wrong, or the congregation is like, dude, I think every active Christian believer now probably had somebody within their own faith did them something wrong. But we all understand as Christian followers that that's the flaw of men. Doesn't if you even if you go to the same faith, you just learn your lesson and then you avoid that person, but you're still going to attend um, ceremonies because that's what brings you closer and to learn good things of God. And that's the thing, you only rob yourself of other good relationships that you can build from other members within your church community or your faith community if you have that kind of mindset, and you kind of have a paintbrush of like every church leadership that does you wrong is you need to stay away from. I don't know, because I feel like that's kind of the common thread that I'm kind of seeing from our Polynesian communities who no longer practice the faith, but have like a. It's almost like they can't even tolerate people speaking their Christian faith. It's pretty nuts.
Well, and the thing is ancestors. You're basically saying your ancestors couldn't make their own choices. They were basically forced to do this, or they were duped to do this, rather than saying, well, is there another reason why our ancestors embraced Christianity? Right? And that's one of the perspectives we bring is there is much more to our history than what we typically will hear from the atheist academics who want
Yeah,
us to believe a certain way. They
yeah,
want you to believe that you were forced to accept everything. Because then if you were forced to accept everything, you're willing to let go of everything and adopt whatever they want to teach you. But you need to
yeah,
understand, or we need to understand, our ancestors, yes, there were challenges. There were some things that they had to sacrifice in order to keep the tradition and the culture alive. But I think they were much wiser and much more diligent than some of us are giving them credit for, right? Like we sometimes hear it's like, oh, they were just duped into Christianity and they were forced to. It's like, well, is that really the case? Or did they see something? Or did they feel something that drove them to do that? Um,
mm,
which is the danger of the quote unquote decolonization mind, is you could be rejecting some of the good things that our ancestors saw in Christianity and European culture, that they said, hey, this is a good thing, this is true. It rings true with some of our cultural beliefs on family, on a supreme being, and the role of religion in our culture and in our personal lives. It's a very slippery slope to just ancestors were dummies and they just accepted Christianity because they were forced to do so. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so
Well,
with
well,
that,
no,
oh,
that's
go
well.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, Dua, that even I'm just thinking of the whole Tongan history of just Tonga being able to be independent. If he did not leverage what the West had, and I'm talking about what did the West have? He was able to leverage their their way of doing treaties to be recognized as an independent sovereign nation, because that's what the West viewed as you were civil enough to maintain your own sovereignty. So that's how the West kind of saw other nations, and we were able to use that ideology because Taufaha was able to use that and created. Tonga has the oldest. I don't know if many of our viewers know this, but has the oldest constitution in the southern hemisphere. Either that or Argentina. But like in Polynesia or in the Pacific, I can say that for sure. Tonga has the oldest
Yeah,
constitution, and that's what how the West in those times, even up to now, constitution is the supreme law of the land. So because you had a constitution, and not only that, what was the Polynesian flavor on that dua? It was written in Tongan, right?
yeah,
We kind of mentioned it with the whole Treaty of White Tongue, the weaknesses of that. writing it in two language and recognizing it as official documents. But the Constitution, its official first translation or the first creation of the Tongan Constitution was written in Tongan. So that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to add to you, what you were saying, Tua, taking the good things from the West. That's what Taufahau did, and it was part of the stepping stone to save Tonga to be the only Polynesian island not colonized. That was the step.
No, 100%. And I think that's something that's really important. And that's a good segue. Let's get into the offsides kind of response and feedback to our video, or that video that was chopped up. Now that we have the context of what we were trying to do and the video itself, we can now take a look at their initial response to it.
Oh wow, womp. There's this other thing with we got sent this on our TikTok, and the Polynesian Eyes podcast. Do you want me to play this? Or should we just talk about it?
No, play it for the.
Okay. This got sent to us, and again, some Samoan Musos from the US who are talking about Maoris who neglect the Christian faith. Again, very divisive.
The Maoris are one of the few cultures that we have witnesses or accounts of the early Maoris having prophecies of Christianity coming. Basically saying there's a new religion coming, and that's the religion we need to embrace. So it was quite shocking to me when you hear people like this who say, you're not a real Maori, you've been colonized because she's Christian.
What if there was a way to know?
Oh, there's our commercial viewers.
Break. What's your initial thought to that so far, Mr. Ateoro? Not did you?
Surprised.
I mean, we are Samoan. We have Samoan blood.
Yes,
so
we
it's
are.
not totally
that's
off,
why.
Right?
That's why I said Hamo Alu. You know, we can go with that. You know. I was. It's interesting that I think his name is Danny or Dan. Danny. He says that this is divisive. You know, because I mean, we don't. We try to. We were family friendly kind of podcast and stuff, but like, you know, I thought their podcast is I thought it was like, you know, you guys say some interesting things too, but I don't think it was that divisive. We're just having a conversation, but I just found that very interesting. He said it was very divisive, but I don't know about that. But I don't know what you think about that, Dua. When you found that when they kind of started off that it's divisive, and they were thinking about playing our video. I guess they were thinking maybe not playing it because it was too divisive, which I find very interesting. Oh, Tua, can you hear? Can you hear? Satellite is breaking,
Hey, Musty.
rotating around. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go back. Yeah, go back to where you're saying you heard some of their stuff, and you didn't think it was that divisive.
No, yeah. I mean, I heard their stuff, but I don't think their stuff was like, you know, that, you know, divisive. You know, they tend to cuss a lot more than what we do and kind of thing. But like, I'm just saying, like, I'm surprised that they thought that our thing was divisive because they were thinking of maybe not playing it just to talk about it or to play it. But I didn't think it was that divisive compared to what, you know, they like to talk about kind of topics that we like to talk about. So
controversial stuff.
Yeah. Controversial stuff. So I was surprised that they thought that our stuff was divisive, which was interesting.
Well, this is saw with the Uffi, the story of Bo. Just because an idea is challenged that they accept as reality, they take it as demoralizing and divisive. Right? They don't see when someone challenges their idea, they don't see it as, oh, that's another perspective, that's another way to look at it. Maybe it might
instead
have
of that light, it's a light that they think it's divisive. Eh?
Exactly. And then number two, I mean, obviously they didn't at least go look at our episode to be like, is that really what they were talking about? Because obviously the video was chopped up, right?
Yeah.
You could tell from the video. But the other thing too is, and maybe we'll show it a little bit more, is they didn't just say, hey, look at the video, this is why it's divisive. They just said divisive right off the bat. without really looking at it. And then we'll see. Brother Eliota here is gonna give some feedback, but I see a theme here, just like our Uffi brother. They play the video and then they don't even talk about the substance of the video, even though it is chopped up and out of context, but at least discuss what was being presented in the video. So let's come back. Hopefully we can get through this episode. Apologize to all the viewers. Elon Musk, I do have it in my front yard, so maybe it's not having a clear view of the sky, but you know, we make do with what we got.
Yep. Oh, I can't hear it, Tua.
Oh yeah. Let's come back here. I need to take off the sound. I apologize. You should be able to hear it now. Let me just go back just a little bit.
Are one of the few cultures that we have witnesses or accounts of the early Maoris having prophecies of Christianity coming. Basically saying there's a new religion coming, and that's the religion we need to embrace. So it was quite shocking to me when you hear people like this who say, you're not a real Maori, you've been colonized because she's Christian. Basically, what they're saying is because Christianity was introduced from Westerners, then therefore you've been colonized. So the basic idea is this: anything from the West is bad. Education's bad, cell phone bad, TV
don't wear any
bad.
clothes. Don't wear any clothes.
don't do any of those things. You better be living off the land. The problem is there aren't any more real Maoris. And if there is, they ain't part of the discussion. When you speak the English language, you're already colonized. Right. Where do you draw the line, right? Like, that's the problem with the thinking.
Yeah,
they're speaking.
Stop it there. Trash.
What?
These
We're
Usos look like
Samoan language week.
Can you hear me, Musty?
Yes, I can. I lost you for a little bit.
I don't know how much did we lose any of the video, or was it after?
No. I think try keep going. Did you pause it? Oh, looks like I lost you again, Tua. Elon Musk technology is giving us some hiccups. We apologize, the viewers on the live digital Kava session. We're trying to make this work. Tua's all of Tua's stuff hasn't arrived yet to his new place of residence in Las Vegas from San Antonio, Texas. So we're just trying to make do for this episode.
Yeah,
there we go, Tua.
I'm back.
Okay.
Maybe Donald is shooting down Elon Musk satellites. I don't know what's going on with the internet.
Did Trump cancel Elon Musk's subsidies? And then did he do a EO, an executive order already? See?
Well, the thing I wanted to respond to, and I don't know if it showed in the video, but they show the clip and then he goes, "Those Usos," with an accent, and I'm like, yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying, it just shows the kind of Polynesians he's been hanging around with in America. Unfortunately, we had to respond like that. Shit. Oh man. Either that or you just need to travel more, my brother. You need to travel more. That's what happens when you're in the island too long. You tend to think a little like an island boy,
Yeah. You start to think that Auckland is New York City or something.
The world is much bigger, my brother. The world is much bigger.
Anyways, so yeah, I was cracking up when Eliota's like trash.
Hey, cool,
come
man.
on,
Just relax. That's fine. Why everyone always intense, just
Yeah.
relax.
Maybe he's feeling we're demoralizing him. Maybe he feels we're demoralizing him like our Uffi brother. Oh man, that cracks me up. Let's come back. Let's come back.
You know Five Guys, Jose?
No.
I
What
love
Five
Five
Guys? No,
Guys.
no, you gotta tell
It's
us.
fast food. It's
Oh.
fast food. That's a shot. I'm sorry, Usos. I'm playing. I'm one this week. I enjoy my kalo. But yeah, this is a
What do you think the point of that comment of the fast food? Is it because I look like I'm a muscle guy, or is he saying
I
because we're American and we're
he's
only fast food, or what? What was
Yeah.
the thought
I
behind that?
think this is just my opinion. I think he's saying that it's almost like he's using the food analogy as saying that we're not real Polynesian because he obviously
Plastic.
eats talo. Yes, he eats talo.
Oh.
So, I don't know,
What's his
that's what I'm
name?
thinking.
What's his name?
I think
What's
his
his
name is
name?
Danny. I think his name
Danny.
is Danny.
Danny, if you watch this episode, not only have I eaten more talo than you, probably, but I know this for a fact, Danny, just from hearing how you talk. I've planted more talo than you. I have raised more talo than you. I have eaten more lu than you in this whole, and I picked more lu from the talo plant than you. I've probably fed more pigs than you in your lifetime. I probably scraped more coconuts than you in your lifetime. So, and on top of that, I've eaten more Five Guys than you.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the thing too. I'm like, that's just me what I'm thinking. It's like, like I don't know if he can do a omu by himself, Tua.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying, come on, Danny, stop it, man. Like we have to, like we kind of mentioned earlier, man. We've been around the whole Polynesians and we live there. We're not just because we have
Yeah.
an American accent, and apparently maybe the American Polynesians you've came across are probably the ones that you kind of have a strong reference to, but we're a different one, and there's a lot more Polynesians in America who are like us too that know a lot and have passion for the Polynesian eyes or Polynesian nations from their home. So,
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, see, this is what's funny. Before he even plays the video, he says, "Oh, so what's the word he used?
well, oh, Tua, and I was just saying maybe we he say we go eat Five Guys too because we're also married men here. We're not trying to look all nice and all skinny to attract another sunga or another tahine, Eh, Tua? If
Those
we
days are
trust
gone.
me,
Those days are
those
gone."
days are gone. We're married men. We're
Yeah.
looking bigger things. If we wanted to look nice and good, trust me, we'll be there. If we wanted to attract, look and have a nice body, and have a nice looking feature, and have some nice muscle. If we wanted to attract a sunga somewhere, you know.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is I can't see him very well, but he looks like he enjoys Five Guys too, just like I enjoy Five Guys.
Well, you have access to Five Guys there. I think over here we're still McDonald's and KFC over here in Auckland.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, Five Guys is like the rich
It's
man's fast food because it's expensive.
y-
It's like
yes,
almost what $30 for just a burger and fries and a drink.
yep.
Like a
It
lot
ain't
of
cheap.
people were like upset with Five Guys because they were super expensive. But
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna. I mean, these guys said they wanted. I mean, they took the gloves off. We're gonna give them honest. Here's the funny thing. I want to get your thoughts on this, Masi. You know how each Kava group has its own personality, right?
Yeah.
You go to one group, they just like to sing every night. It's all about the jam session. You go to another one, they're like the athletes. They're always talking about sports and sports stuff. You go to some, it's the Faifekau's house, so it's a little more serious, a little more formal. A lot of it is more spiritual driven. You go to some of those older guys ones like the Ulutea club
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Nuku'alofa. It's more like old school. We talk about history, politics, everything's on the table. That's how the live digital kava session is. We had a little bit of fun earlier with the Uffi, but as we get into these guys, they want to be a little more serious. They want to be, they want to be treated like a black belt. Like our Uffi brother, we kind of joke around and mess
Yeah.
around. That was one type of personality. Now that we're coming here, these guys are more, right off the bat, they try to drop the nuclear option rather than just, instead of just throwing a jab, just to check it out, they want to go with the haymaker right off the bat. It's like, oh, okay. So I guess we're in the haymaking mood, but wanted to bring that up before we continue, just so
All right,
people
let's
may have
continue.
sensed that there was a change in the atmosphere. So let's come back.
This conversation will be ongoing forever. I think also as we kind of expand into this world. Also, leave the Māoris alone, bro.
Yeah, but it's just random as well. Like, yeah, it's just rubbish. Like, the whole don't wear any t-shirts. Like, that's not a Western thing. Like, you can even search it up. That wasn't invented by Polynesians. It's so crazy, man. Like, there's a lot of chat is based on stuff that people don't even know properly. And they just, and like you said, you just said it. Like, this is gonna go on forever.
Mashi, you're the one who made that comment. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I gotta clarify. Well, the modern clothing we're wearing has been the industrialization age. What did it start from? Was it Great Britain, Tua?
England started the
England?
Industrial Revolution.
Industrial Revolution. Then it spread off to most of the West, and now it's all over in the country. The modern clothing we have, especially with this, the shorts, the jeans we wear, the pants, that's
Those
all
are
from the West.
industrial. Yeah.
That's from the West. I mean, I guess I gotta clarify, and I guess you can. Yes, I think there's been other places like even Tonga. We had the clothing we wrapped. That's a different. The modern clothing the entire world wears is from the West. The traditional clothing and how other people dress, that's unique and stuff to them, but it's not the modern clothing we all wear right now that's been industrialized and mass produced and distributed to all the world. That was from the West concept with the industrialization that produced motor vehicles and also produced, like what you said, um, refrigerators, like all of these air conditioners. Like that's what I'm saying. That was all industrialized from the West. So, the internet, for heaven's sakes, the internet we're using and right now to broadcast the internet was from the U.S. military from the West, if I'm not mistaken. So
Al Gore said he created the internet, but
Al Gore.
Al Gore,
Even if it was him, he's from the
He's
West.
a
Like that's what
clown.
I'm trying to. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I guess I had to clarify with that, but that's what I meant. Unless did I say anything wrong, Tua, or
No,
what?
the point was you can't just because we got to remind them. See, number one, he goes random. Well, it's random if you're just watching that clip,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
He doesn't even and then leave the Maoris alone. What do you mean? We were taking the side of a Maori woman who was being attacked and called that she wasn't Maori because she was Christian. And yet we're told to let that Maori woman be attacked when we think that there's nothing wrong with her being Christian. See, this is the kind of and then what is their answer? People making comments without educating themselves. Chole, start with the video itself. Don't just randomly pick a video and then assume that it's random. But it's random because you have no context for it. Maybe get some context. Maybe don't say that we're quote unquote Samoans, even though we have Samoan without.
Oh, there we go with the orbit viewers from the live digital kava session on the Polynesian Eyes broadcast. We ask you for your patience at this time. The Polynesian Eyes broadcast base is being currently in transit. With Tua's stuff still making its way to Las Vegas. We appreciate everyone's patience with us, but we appreciate the comments. I know Tua has mentioned the comments have been coming, but because Tua's not really set up fully in Las Vegas, he can't really put them up so we can share them and have you include into our conversations here. Oh, now that we lost Tua here, and also,
I'm
oh, there we go.
back.
Tua, you're back now. You're back. I was
Yes.
just telling, I was just telling the viewers to, thanking them for their patience and bear with us while the Polynesian Eyes podcast is still in transit. We're still trying
Yes.
to move. So I think we're still live and still going.
Oh yeah, man. Anyways, yeah. I mean, any thoughts before we go back to the video? It looks like
I did,
we
yeah.
need. Go ahead, message.
No, now I did have one thing I wanted to I did want to discuss on the not no leave the Maoris alone. We're relatives, man. Why we can't? So I understand if you're somebody totally different heritage and race can't speak on Maori stuff, and maybe because they don't have context. Like, dude, we are relatives of the Maori, so I feel like we can speak. We're a Polynesian nation family kind of thing, and if we can't speak on the Maoris, then what is it? Only certain people that can only speak. You have to be actually Maori, like you. We had the Ha'amoa speak on Tongan history, Tua. Like
Yeah.
I think they did. We did a podcast reacting from them from their They had a podcast uh, section of reacting to Tongan history, especially Tau Wahau. We didn't condemn them on that. We just added our flavor and fulfilled certain things, and I think that's what needs to happen because there's little nuances, maybe from different Polynesian islands, cultural and maybe nuance on how they do things, but I don't think that's a bit far fetched to say to leave them alone. We can't speak anything like we don't. And I live here in New Zealand. Like, come on, man. You know,
Yeah.
we have
Come on.
something. Come on, man. So in America, like, come on, man. You're being a bit intense on that. So yeah, that's just kind of my comments there, Tua. Oh, looks like Tua is still is frozen. Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
I'm back. I'm back. Let's get back. Man, we gotta get through this live. We're gonna do with what we got. Let's get through this. Let's
Push it through.
video.
Push it through. Let's go.
Like Christians and non-Christians, and and if gosh, it's just again we're just gonna fight, and now we got some Samoans popping off shots at Māori, and then obviously Māori will jump back, and gosh, it's just like that's how it was wanted, the whole divide and conquer, that's how it is. The whole self-entitlement, I am purer than thou bullshit. Just like you said, it's not gonna end, man. It's not gonna end, and someone's gotta speak some fucking life into our people, bro. Like, just remove all this divisive shit, man. It's just
divisive.
Look, the
Oh yeah, wait, AI.
Divisive. AI, papera.
Papel ammonia AI.
Eh?
Shit. Go,
See? No, but I mean,
Tua,
this
speak
is
some
the
life.
divisive.
What you think?
Well,
Yeah, speak some
well,
life.
see,
He
and
says we need to speak some life into us.
well, that's the thing that's interesting. Number one, they're saying it's divisive, but they have no idea what's being discussed, right? We're talking about a Maori lady, and then what does he mean? Speak life. I think speaking life is what you said, Masi. Don't fall for the victim mentality, because life is about moving forward. Life is about moving to what's next. If you're always going to fall back to, we were colonized, they took everything from us, they did this, that is not life. That's called death. That's not moving forward. That's not progressing. So if you want to, I agree we should speak life, but
Oh, looks like we've lost two again, team. Sorry about that. Oh, there we go, Tua. You're back. You're back.
I'm getting all excited and then we get paused here. But I mean, at the end of the day, I agree. Let's breathe life. Let's breathe future. Let's breathe working together. Let's breathe talking and forget about the victim mentality. That's what
Yeah.
I think breathing life is to our people. What are your
Learn from the
thoughts?
past. No, like to keep it nice, short, and simple. You learn from your past, but don't use the past to re-traumatize the current new generation that has so much for the future and to do better. That's just me, and I think most people who are successful, and when I say successful, not on a large scale, successful in just bringing your family with you for the little wins you have in life.
Yeah,
That's what we need to do as a people.
100%. Let's get to at the rate we're going. We gotta plow through this. We
Yeah,
gotta breathe life into this podcast because it's getting a little too choppy.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
We'll do
we're,
Right,
that.
man.
Um,
I can see why they're so hurt because they're Christians, obviously.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah.
The tongue.
Are they Tongans?
Yes.
Ah, say
What?
bear, my lord.
oh
Yeah, the tongue. But I mean,
You got a fellow
the
Uso. At least
The
he can
uncolonized
definitely
Tongans, eh?
watch it.
There you
yeah.
go.
to be fair, I mean, I actually enjoy their topic when
Yep.
they talk
I
about,
do.
and
My lord.
I do acknowledge Polynesian eyes bringing up with different perspective,
Yep.
different angles and stuff, and I think that's probably why we got our attention. So that's probably why they wanted someone to, help them, educate them, or whatsoever. So they pretty much open to any idea that comes in. So yeah, so not to take away from what we're trying to talk about, but it's just acknowledging what
Yeah.
they want to say, and
Okay.
that's why we got this podcast. We can talk about what we disagree with
Yeah.
and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm not tangata whenua, and this might kind of sound like I'm defending Maori.
Oh, Tua, can you hear me?
Old
Peace.
get a
Okay.
billion views, and that pushed culture online. And they've done it with the haka, they've done it with their speeches, te matitini, they've done it with their performances, they've done it with how they've reclaimed back all their land, well, as they continue to reclaim back all their kind of resources in New Zealand. They do that far better than other indigenous cultures, and they're leading the way. So put some respect on their name. Shout out to the Uso Poetic, because I know he'll be tapping in as well. And once this rears its head again, we're just gonna talk about it even more.
Yeah, and just to stop trying to put like Christianity with global development, like they do it all the time. Like, like they try and say that.
Before he gets into that, what are your thoughts on that, Mussy? What
Um,
that's interesting
I,
to me. What they're trying to talk on in this.
I appreciate the Uso at the back because he definitely you can tell he's probably did watch some of our videos and has a better context. Yeah, and that's a fair feedback. Like what he said, have a broadcast. We can share ideas that we disagree with and educate us. That's a that's a common sense feedback, and that was good, and that's what we want. Like you said, it's a battle of ideas, and just see which one rises to the which cream rise. Let the cream rise to the top of which idea. I think he mentioned something with the Maoris as the best indigenous group of Polynesian culture to the world. I'm thinking about it now. I don't know, man. Rock and the Ha'amoas, I would say, are probably.
At the
I mean,
moment, yeah.
at the moment, I mean, in different phases. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he means by that because the Rock. That when I think he mentioned like a billion views from that protest stuff. I mean, the Rock. He does. I don't know how many videos of billion views that he does for the Ha'amoa people. So I think I would like to challenge that. I would like to challenge that idea because the Ha'amoa with
Mhm.
American Samoa access to America. America is king in promoting content and love the
And
Ha'amoas
culture,
and
yeah.
culture, right? And not only that, that trickles down to Hawaii. I think Hawaii has a more tourists, more people know Hawaii than New Zealand. If you go to mid, you go to middle America. This is how you know if you are well known. If you go to like Kansas, and if you say which Polynesian island they know, they're gonna say Hawaii. So that's what I'm trying to say. Hawaii, and not Hawaii, and Hawaii does that Matatini. What he was mentioning is their kind of Maori version of they do their songs and dances. Mary Monarch. I don't know if he's heard of the Mary Monarch in Hawaii.
And
That
that's
does
superior dancing. That's fantastic. Yeah.
superior, and the content that promotes with the Polynesian culture, and people from all over the world, not just within Hawaii goes, people all over the world go to the Mary Monarch. So with the Ha'amoa, with the Rock, who is the biggest and well recognized Polynesian, then all of the All Blacks put together, and Matatini put together. The Rock, he's king on that. And then with the festivals, I would say the bigger one to the world, I think the Merry Monarch. And in my opinion, regarding that, like Aotearoa is still, it's still small fish in the world. Like it really is. Like, and that's what I'm
Yes.
saying. When 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 your experience is only in Australia and New Zealand and Samoa, that you have thing, and you maybe did visits here and there, like, dude, the world is still, Aotearoa is still a very small fish, still a very small fish. Mary Monarch, because Hawaii is part of America and using that platform to project the culture and stuff, you're gonna have far more reach, my friend. You know, so that's just me. Mary Monarch regarding the biggest festivals for Polynesia, and Mary Monarch, and then the Rock to me and the Ha'amoa community because of American Samoa, and that tunnel that's like a flowing tunnel that feeds off to the U.S. mainland U.S. That's just my thoughts there. I don't know if you had
Yeah.
anything, or did I miss something?
No, no. I mean, my thoughts, I guess, is just, I guess I have a different perspective on what pushes forward the Polynesian culture. Is it exposure? I think he's mentioning exposure, right? Like,
Yes.
what's giving exposure is not necessarily the same as pushing Polynesian culture forward. Like, you could have zero exposure
Hmm.
and working in your own little corner and pushing Polynesian culture forward. Like, for example, I was watching a video about a guy in Vava'u or maybe Ha'apai. He
Mm-hmm.
says, oh, he's from a family that comes from Samoa and from Fiji that would work on the boats, right? Karia boats before the Karias would go to the Cook Islands and go to Futuna and Uvea and do the reviews. He chose to pursue maintaining that knowledge and that skill set. Me personally, that pushes Polynesian culture more, even though nobody recognizes it, nobody really hears about it, than a billion views. There's a difference in my mind just because you got exposure, right? Higher exposure and so forth, than actually moving the Polynesian culture forward to the world. Because you talk of certain people like Devi Tafare. I feel Devi Tafare, yes, he's our dad, but if I try to remove myself, what he's done to
Mm.
push Polynesian culture that very few people know about. And everyone here is talking about, oh, Polynesians were these great navigators. Oh, we traveled by the stars. No one was really talking about it when I grew up. I remember seeing newspaper articles mocking him because he
Mm.
didn't have an education. But you know what? He dedicated his life to that.
Mm.
And there's probably countless people throughout New Zealand, Samoa, Tonga, Fiji. There are people who are doing little things that not getting exposure that's pushing the Polynesian culture. And we may not see their impact or recognize it, but those people are doing. So I have a very different perspective from what he's saying. To me, is
Okay.
he saying exposure of the culture? Okay, a
That's
billion
what it
views?
sounds like.
Yes.
Sounds like, because he's using the example of the billion views on TikTok or social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah, I've
But that's
seen her, and not to be rude, I don't know too much about her, but I think of AOC when I see her, and that doesn't really impress me. I saw the video of her walking around, and she says, "Oh, look at what I did," and it was like a little garden in the community that really wasn't flourishing, and I'm like, this is it. Like this is what we're saying is pushing the Polynesian culture out. Like I give more recognition to what you're saying. Mary Monarch, those are high quality performances. That to me, I'm like, okay, that is something where not just the kumus or the teachers, it's the
Yeah.
dancers, they're dedicating their life that preserves it. I would take that over a billion views of someone doing a haka in the parliament that really okay. That's just exposure. That's just my opinion. I think
Hmm.
to me, I think there's a lot more of people who are if we're talking about pushing the culture forward, I give
Yeah.
more credence to people who are preserving it more rather than getting more exposure.
Yeah. Because and I was just thinking too with the whole right with the whole New Zealand's thing. New Zealand is just popular just amongst most of the Polynesian communities throughout the world. That's what that's the thing,
Yeah.
right? But if you don't interact with people who are non-Polynesians, you really can't see that. But we've acted. I've been around a lot of non-Polynesians that even don't even know. They think New Zealand's still grass shack and still
Little
like a
huts.
place, little huts. Like they have no idea. New Zealand is more the niche that people understand that when they have the Polynesian, was it the Polyfest and stuff? That's only within the Polynesian community. You go, like I said, though, you go somewhere in Arkansas or like all these other places in America. There's like, what the heck is that? Where is he? Where is New Zealand again? Oh, he's like, is that by? You know what they'll think? They'll think, oh, is that part of Antarctica? I've heard a comment even say that. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's come on, man.
Oh.
Like when you interact, and this is important. Like you don't know when you interact with a lot of non-Polynesian, especially outside your kind of most where comfortable or what you kind of used to growing up, you kind of appreciate a lot more of our uniqueness as Polynesian because if you don't see that, then you it's like, dang, then it's kind of hard to differentiate what we need to do further. But you know um like I said, Hawaii, because of the US and its connection there and with the rock, to me they're the ones when in his category on how he's measuring exposure. To me they're that's those are the two factors that kind of get the most exposure. But that's just
No,
my little spill.
100%. 100%.
That Christians invented.
Oh, looks like we're having some frozen issues. Sorry to our viewers. Sorry for being a bit slow, but we appreciate you guys bearing with us. Oh,
Yes,
there
we're
we
back.
go.
We're back.
Oh, was it 3000 BC? You know, like they try to say that Christians invented things, and it's just crap.
The wrong deal, everything.
Do you want more customers from your ads
Oh,
cheaper? Do you want to make 15 and 20?
well, what are your thoughts on that, Muffy, while I get through the commercial here?
Um. Oh, it was kind of broken up a little bit. Was it? Can you just help me remind me of exactly what they were kind of saying?
He was talking about how people think Christianity invented everything.
Well, we weren't. I think. Well, that's interesting. Why you think Christianity? We were talking about the West. It's a bit different with the West. I mean, that's two different concepts. But it looks like he's putting
He's
that concept
combined them.
is combine them. And to me, that's the wrong idea. Christianity is not from the West. For the Pacific, that's where the Palangis in the West brought Christianity, but the origin of Christianity is not from the West. That's what I'm trying to say. That its origins are way, way, way before. It's just the West has taken up that idea and has spread that across all over Europe and wherever they went. So that's kind of my idea on that. Do I, it's two. He's conflating the two ideas where they need to be separated because they're not the same. That's just my take on that, Dua. If you can hear me. Oh, looks like it's just me, yeah. Um, thank you everyone for bearing with us while we try to get this all sorted out. Oh, there we go. There we go. Dua's joining us. Mahalo gay to ngawi agi Starlink Tua.
Oh man, maybe next time we're not going to use Starlink again. We did the last time, but maybe Elon Musk and Donald Trump's argument is causing impact. Like you said, the subsidy's been removed. But
Go ahead, Tua.
no, what I was going to say is I agree with you 100%. He's associated Christianity with the West. Christianity is not even it's a Jewish, it's a Northern Africa, Middle East
Correct.
religion, right? And like we said earlier, it actually went to Africa first. It could have been it was with the Egyptians first, probably. I mean, Jesus went to Egypt. Abraham was in Egypt. All of the story in the Old Testament, a lot of time, was in Egypt. So it's that false idea, and I think some people are just traumatized with this idea that Christianity is the West, just because
Yeah.
they brought it. And I want to push that idea even further.
Yeah.
Christianity or the West did not invent everything, including Christianity. And that this is one of the ideas that we bring to the table. Our ancestors had concepts that Christianity tries to claim as theirs that actually our ancestors had, right?
Yes.
A spiritual realm, a supreme God that ruled from a spiritual realm, life
The
after
belief
death.
after death. Yes.
Yes. You know, and certain things of that nature that, once again, it's not always to be seen as they brought something foreign, is they brought something familiar to our ancestors. And maybe that's why we're so religious. Rather, that's one way to look at it, but it seems like his perspective is we were beaten into Christianity, which is not always the case.
That's what we kind of mentioned. That is the philosophy of a Palangi who is atheist take on that, which has infiltrated a lot of the academics in today and then spreading it through the students who graduate with that ideology. Because like what you mentioned, to you know, the 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 Christianity faith started in that Israel, Middle East, and to Northern Africa. But I think there's a lack of understanding on the ancient religion from our Polynesian ancestors, which I don't think they understand at all. It's they've taken just the understanding of religion. It's more their understanding is more worshiping our ancestors, which Taufahau went and cleansed before introducing the new religion, because the idea was we believed in the ancient traditional religion, which was held and kind of gatekept in Mu'a, which was Hikudeo, being somebody you couldn't see, which is kind of like, and it's translated as the tail end of the voice, which many of the scriptures portray as the God now, right? The God that the Christian
The
God.
God of
And
Israel. Yeah.
he's never showed his face. He's always spoken to, well, in the LDS religion, he did show his face to the first prophet, Joseph Smith. So that's our faith and what we believe. So, but in general, with the Christian faith, it's always been through the speaking to his prophets through his voice, and Jesus Christ being the only one to come here on this earth. But I think it's that misunderstanding too, from what I believe is they're not their understanding of the ancient religion is worshiping ancestors and all of that kind of stuff, which was incorrect. It's the ancient religion was something far beyond your ancestors.
Yes, 100%. And what we need to recognize is this: the civilization that the Westerners found in Polynesia was a civilization in decline. It had already crumbled. Whatever the state of the government and the religion at that time was not even a shadow of what it used to be. And so that includes the religion, that includes the government. And, I know it sounds biased. I know it sounds like, oh, it should be called the Tongue and Eyes podcast, but it's the reality. The fact that Tonga survived colonization allows Polynesians the opportunity to say, no, we did know these things before. We knew that there was a God in the spirit world. We knew that there was life after death. We knew these things. And Christianity didn't bring something foreign, they restored something that was already among us. And we recognized it and we embraced it because it was familiar to us.
Correct.
And that's why we are religious, and that's why it comes so naturally to us, is because our ancestors have been doing that for thousands and thousands of years. And to reject that under the false pretense of other academics who no longer have that faith in God, for us to now believe them, it's like, you're the guy who shot me because you thought I was a savage, and then now you're going to tell me how you think it should be treated. Like,
It's
now
the
you're going
same
to do
people.
some.
Yeah.
It's the same people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Let's rely more on our ancestors and our grandparents and great grandparents and what they sacrificed and what they believed in. And it's just unfortunate that there's this idea, and hey, let the ideas compete, but I think it's an unfortunate idea, not in that the idea exists, it's the fact that this idea has been adopted so readily by people who think, I'm educated now, I now know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
my ancestors were just duped into this. It's like, no, just like Eliota said, they didn't invent Christianity, they didn't invent, but they brought these things to us. We adopted it, and we're gonna take the good things and try to leave the bad things and move forward. And we're not gonna get stuck on, you hurt me, and therefore I'm gonna never be able to progress for the rest of my existence.
Yeah.
But
No, I was gonna add another thing. Even if you take away the whole Christianity thing out of the book in Polynesia, you can't negate that our people before the Christianity came were some type very devoted religious followers. You can't take that away. And then when you add with this thing coming, this new religion, and like you said, Tua, they were familiar of these teachings because there's a resemblance of the old religion, right? They're like, that was the reason why it spread so fast. But you at the same time, and then you say, if it's not Christianity that you're following, then what are you doing then? Because our ancestors have always been devout religious followers. You know, just let's just say, in even you think in their same religious followers, there were other Polynesians among their villages that did them wrong. They didn't stop following their religious ancient religion faith. No, they probably, back in those days, they probably settled their ways probably differently, but it didn't say that this was not true. They just kept believing, keep the faith. But I'm just saying, you can't take that away from our. It's in our Polynesian DNA that we were devout followers of faith, even if it's not a Christian faith, if it was the old religion. And then if you
and
kept
that
staying in that, yeah, if you kept staying with that, right? If you kept staying with that, and then and then there was periods, because we're just looking at the especially when the fall of the ancient religion was coming and people were worshiping their ancestors, then there was like a cleansing, which there's proof with the Fort in Hule and what Tafahau did when people devoted to their ancestors and kicked their chief out because he wasn't doing it, and then there was a cleanse. It was a treason.
yeah, And I think I'll add my closing thoughts, Masi, and then you can close us out. And this is my closing thought. We appreciate everyone's responses. We think it's a good thing. We need to have more conversations. We invite it. We don't take offense. We welcome it, and we think this is a good thing because it'll cause more people to talk.
Oh, oh, ooh. let's give Tua some time. Hopefully he can reconnect. Come on, Starlink. Come on, don't let us down. Oh, there we go, Tua.
Oh, yeah,
Starlink
we're
is
back.
not let us down.
So, yeah,
We're
let's
almost there.
close out. Come on, Elon. Couple more minutes. And really have these conversations like our ancestors have been doing the ocean around the Kava Bowl for thousands of years so that the best ideas come to the top. Last thing, another reason why we shouldn't have the victim mentality, because if our ancestors were the most powerful military and political unit on the earth, trust me, we would have colonized the earth. Our ancestors did it. That was common. Kamehameha did it. The Tuitonga did it. And let's not forget the Maoris did it to the Morioris, as we did in one of our other episodes. It is documented that Polynesians colonized each other in their efforts. So let's not act like if we were in charge, we would have done something different, in my opinion, because we have history that shows that is human nature. That's not a Western thing. That's not a Polynesian thing. That's a human nature. And so we shouldn't waste too much time feeling sorry for ourselves, recognize it, see it as a reality, and then move forward to what's next. And apologize for the technical difficulties, but we tried to push through it. With that being said, Masi, thank you for your time, and have you give us the closing thought, and we'll end our choppy live stream today.
Nah, appreciate it, Tua. Appreciated your thoughts here and joining the live digital kava session on the Polynesian Eyes podcast. Appreciate all the viewers. Tua did share that we can't share your comments, but we appreciate your guys' input into the digital live or the live digital kava session of the Polynesian Eyes podcast. Just because of our things are still in transit. We're not fully settled yet in our base in Viva Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world. But we will get there, and things will run smoother in our future episodes. But closing thoughts here. I did mention it before. Even if you're not a Christian faith, but if you're not doing something to improve your relationship with God, or you can say hikudeo, any forms, you're not gonna get head in the right direction, because our people were devout followers even before the Christian faith, right? That's who we are. That's what we do. We believe in something superior, way superior than us, and we're gonna go to there's life after this life. So that's just my thoughts there. I appreciate the Ausos on the offside broadcast talking about it. This is just like I said. This is just sharing ideas. Polynesians from different backgrounds, Polynesians from different experience. We're just sharing ours, and put it out there for the viewers to hear and make their decisions based on that. But we appreciate everyone. We always leave you the two kind of the sayings from the Polynesian Eyes podcast in this live digital kava session is stay curious, be bold, and ask the hard questions. Ofa to everybody. Till the next one. See ya.
Peace.